Welcome to YouTube Pedia. Jean Reno, from Casablanca to stardom. Who is Jean Reno? In the glittering world of cinema, where stars are born and forgotten every day, very few leave a mark that time cannot erase. Jean Reno is one of those rare individuals. With his deep voice, striking presence, and soulful performances, he became more than just a French actor. He became a bridge between European cinema and Hollywood. But before the fame, before the flashing cameras and standing ovations, there was a boy with dreams, born far away from the glamour of Paris. Discover the greatest stories from history, science, and beyond. If you're curious about the world, subscribe now and join our journey through knowledge. Early life and family roots. Jean Reno was born as Juan Moreno y Herrera Jimenez on July 30, 1948 in Casablanca, Morocco. His parents were Spanish, originally from Andalusia, who had fled to North Africa to escape the oppressive dictatorship of Francisco Franco. Jean grew up in a warm yet modest family, surrounded by the lively culture of Casablanca, a city that mixed Arab, French, and Spanish influences. Despite the colorful surroundings, life wasn't always easy. Jean's family, like many immigrants, had to work hard to build a new life. His father worked as a linotypist, a job that required precision and patience, qualities that Jean would later inherit in his own career. From a young age, Jean was exposed to different languages and cultures. He grew up speaking Spanish at home, French at school, and hearing Arabic on the streets. This multilingual upbringing would later become one of his greatest strengths, allowing him to move effortlessly between French and American cinema. A young man with big dreams. When Jean was 17, his family decided to move once again, this time to mainland France. They settled in the bustling city of Marseille, a tough, working-class city full of immigrants and dreamers. For Jean, the transition wasn't easy. He had to adapt to a new environment, a new rhythm of life, and even had to Frenchify his name from Juan to Jean to better fit in. But Jean's dreams were bigger than the city he lived in. He felt a calling towards the arts, especially the world of acting. It wasn't about fame for him, it was about expression, about telling stories that mattered, about connecting with audiences in ways that transcended language and nationality. After finishing his schooling, Jean decided to pursue his passion seriously. He enrolled in acting classes at the famous Cours Simon School in Paris, one of the most prestigious acting academies in France. It was a bold move for a young man without connections or wealth. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but Jean Reno was not someone who gave up easily. Struggles and sacrifices. Life as a struggling actor in Paris was far from glamorous. Jean took on a series of odd jobs to make ends meet, from delivering goods to working backstage in small theaters. He lived in tiny apartments, sometimes unsure where the next paycheck would come from. Yet, through all the hardships, he never abandoned his dream. One of the more significant turns in his life came when he was called to fulfill his mandatory military service. For a young man trying to build an acting career, it could have been a major setback. However, Jean saw it differently. He viewed the military as a way to build discipline, resilience, and a stronger character, qualities that would later define many of his iconic roles. After completing his service, Jean returned to Paris with a new sense of purpose. He was ready to work harder than ever. The first steps into cinema. Jean's first appearances on screen were modest. He often played small parts, background characters, guards, tough guys. His towering height at over 62, 1.88 meters, along with his intense gaze, made him perfect for roles that demanded a strong physical presence. However, his true power as an actor, his emotional depth, often went unnoticed in these early years. Everything began to change when he met a young and visionary director named Luc Besson. The meeting was more than just a lucky break. It was the start of a creative partnership that would launch both their careers. Luc Besson saw something in Jean that others had missed, a vulnerability behind the tough exterior. A quiet, simmering intensity that could capture audiences' hearts without saying a word. Besson cast Jean in his first major film, Le Dernier Combat, 1983, a post-apocalyptic story shot almost entirely without dialogue. Jean played a mysterious survivor, and although he spoke barely a word, his performance was mesmerizing. Audiences couldn't look away. The film was a critical success, and Jean Reno was finally noticed, building a reputation. Following the success of Le Dernier Combat, Jean and Luc Besson continued to collaborate. Jean took on roles in Subway, 1985, where he played a striking supporting character alongside Isabella Gianni and Christopher Lambert. His portrayal added layers of grit and depth to the neon-lit, rebellious world Besson was creating. Throughout the late 1980s, Jean slowly built a reputation in the French film industry. Directors appreciated his professionalism, his range, and his unique ability to blend toughness with tenderness. Unlike many action stars, Jean Reno wasn't just muscles and attitude. He brought heart and humanity to every character. His role in The Big Blue, 1988, further solidified his growing fame. Playing Enzo Molinari, a freediver obsessed with beating his childhood friend's record, Jean gave a performance that was funny, tragic, and larger than life all at once. The film became a cult classic in France and across Europe. By now, Jean Reno was no longer a struggling actor. He was a respected name, but the best was yet to come. The explosion with Leon, The Professional. In 1994, Jean Reno's life and career would change forever. Luc Besson wrote and directed Leon, The Professional, and he crafted the role of Leon specifically with Jean in mind. Leon was a character unlike any other, a solitary hitman living a simple, almost childlike life, whose world gets turned upside down when he forms a bond with a young girl, Mathilda, played by the then-unknown Natalie Portman. It was a story of violence and innocence, of loneliness and unexpected love. Jean Reno's portrayal of Leon was nothing short of breathtaking. He brought a quiet dignity to the character, making audiences feel sympathy for a man who lived in a brutal world. His subtle facial expressions, his reserved mannerisms, his deep emotional core, all combined to create one of the most unforgettable characters in cinema history. The film was a critical and commercial success, not just in France but internationally. Hollywood took notice. Jean Reno had crossed over. He was now a global star. Breaking into Hollywood. After the international success of Leon, The Professional, Hollywood came knocking on Jean Reno's door, and they came with big offers. His first major Hollywood appearance was in Mission Impossible, 1996, starring alongside Tom Cruise. Jean played Franz Krieger, a mysterious and morally ambiguous mercenary. Though he wasn't the main character, Jean's intense performance left a strong impression. He brought a certain gravity to the film, a seriousness that made every scene he appeared in feel weightier. Working in Hollywood was not without its challenges. Jean's English, though decent, wasn't perfect, and he had to adapt to the fast-paced, high-pressure world of American filmmaking. But Jean Reno was never afraid of challenges. He embraced the experience with humility and professionalism, winning the respect of directors, co-stars, and crews alike. A global face in blockbusters. Following Mission Impossible, Jean Reno continued to secure major roles in big-budget Hollywood productions. In Ronin 1998, directed by John Frankenheimer, Jean starred alongside Robert De Niro. The film, known for its gritty realism and thrilling car chases, showcased Reno as Vincent, a calm, capable operative. His chemistry with De Niro was palpable, and many critics praised Jean's performance as one of the film's standout elements. In 1998, he also took on a leading role in Godzilla, a massive Hollywood project. Though the film received mixed reviews, Jean's performance as Philippe Rocher, a French secret agent, was widely appreciated. His deadpan humor and steady presence provided much-needed charm and groundedness in a movie filled with chaos and special effects. Jean Reno was now a truly international actor, one of the few Europeans to successfully transition into Hollywood while maintaining his identity and style. Staying true to his roots, despite his Hollywood success, Jean Reno never abandoned European cinema. He continued to take roles in French films, always honoring the industry that first gave him a stage. In fact, some of his most beloved performances during this time came from French productions. One of his biggest hits was the Les Visiteurs series, wildly popular time travel comedies, where Jean played Godefroy de Montmirail, a bumbling medieval knight thrust into modern-day France. The films were massive box office successes and cemented his status as a household name in France. Jean showed that he was just as comfortable making audiences laugh as he was thrilling them in action movies. His versatility as an actor became even more apparent. He could be intense, tender, hilarious, or terrifying, depending on the needs of the role. A private life, away from the cameras. While Jean Reno's career was thriving, he worked hard to keep his personal life private. Unlike many Hollywood stars, Jean never enjoyed the spotlight outside of acting. He valued his privacy deeply and rarely gave interviews about his family or personal struggles. Jean married 3 times over the course of his life. His first marriage was to Genevieve, with whom he had 2 children. Later, he married Polish model Natalie Dyskiewicz, with whom he had 2 more children. His third marriage was to Zofia Borica, a British model and actress. Their wedding, held in 2006 in southern France, was attended by notable figures, including then-French President Nicolas Sarkozy, who was a personal friend of Reno. Fatherhood was incredibly important to Jean. Despite his busy schedule, he made it a priority to be present in his children's lives. He often spoke about the grounding influence his family had on him. They reminded him of what truly mattered beyond the glitz and glamour of cinema. Acting style and philosophy. Jean Reno's acting is often described as understated but incredibly powerful. He doesn't rely on flashy gestures or exaggerated emotions. Instead, he uses subtlety, a slight change in his eyes, a quiet shift in his body language to convey deep and complex feelings. He once said in an interview that acting for him was about listening more than speaking. He believed that real emotion often comes not from grand speeches, but from silence, from presence, from simply being real on screen. This philosophy made his performances feel authentic and relatable. Whether he was playing a hardened hitman, a grieving father, or a goofy medieval knight, Jean always brought a sincerity that resonated deeply with audiences. Challenges and quiet triumphs. As the 2000s progressed, Jean Reno continued to work steadily. He appeared in a wide variety of films, including The Pink Panther, 2006, alongside Steve Martin, where he played the loyal Inspector Ponton, and in Flyboys, 2006, a World War I aviation film. Not every project was a hit, of course. Like all actors, Jean faced critical and commercial disappointments, but he never let failures define him. His resilience, the same resilience that carried him from struggling actor to global star, kept him grounded. He understood that fame was fleeting, and that true success lay in consistency, professionalism, and passion for the craft. Recognition and legacy. Over the years, Jean Reno has received numerous awards and honors. In 1999, he was awarded the Chevalier Knight of the Légion d'honneur, France's highest order of merit, recognizing his contribution to French arts and culture. More importantly, Jean Reno earned something even rarer, the respect and love of audiences across generations and continents. Fans admire him not just for his acting talents, but for his authenticity, humility, and enduring passion for cinema. In many ways, Jean Reno became a symbol of the everyman hero. Strong yet sensitive, tough yet kind, silent yet profound. Today and beyond. Even as he grew older, Jean Reno never truly stepped away from acting. He continued taking on projects that interested him, both in Europe and in America. In interviews, he expressed his gratitude for having been able to live a life filled with creativity, challenges, and human connection. He also spoke about mentoring younger actors, encouraging them to stay true to themselves and to the craft, rather than chasing fame. In recent years, Jean has taken on more reflective roles, portraying wise, experienced characters who mirror his own journey. A fitting evolution for an actor whose career has been defined by depth and authenticity. The man behind the legend. Jean Reno's life story is a testament to perseverance, integrity, and passion. From the sun-drenched streets of Casablanca to the glamorous world of Hollywood, he carved a unique path, one built not on shortcuts or scandals, but on hard work, talent, and an unshakable love for storytelling. He remains, to this day, a beloved figure in global cinema, an actor who never forgot where he came from, who embraced every challenge with grace, and who continues to inspire millions with his quiet strength. Jean Reno is not just a star. He is a legend in the truest, purest sense of the word. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more amazing stories like this one, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Got thoughts about Jean Reno or a favorite movie of his? I'd love to hear it. Drop a comment below. And of course, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next deep dive into history, cinema, and mystery. Thanks for watching. You're awesome.